Host, Jack the King Kirby was an American comic creator who worked from the 1930s through the 1980s, during which time he would create some of the most popular comic book characters of all time. He is credited with the co-creation of almost 300 characters ranging from the insanely popular, like Captain America, Thor, the Hulk, the Fantastic Four, Black Panther, and the X-Men, to the obscure like Batroc the Leaper, Fin Fang Foom, the Awesome Android, and Kang the Conqueror. However, what makes Jack Kirby a hero is what he did with those characters. For example, he used Captain America to explain why Americans needed to fight in World War II before the events of December 7, 1941, and used the X-Men as a tool to explain the civil rights movement during the 1960s. Additionally, Jack Kirby's creations have become part of a multi-billion-dollar franchise that employs hundreds of workers all over the world. Jack Kirby is an American hero because of his anti-Nazi comics during World War II, his use of comics to introduce readers to civil rights issues during the 1960s, and his lasting impact on today's culture. Kirby's work in the 1940s was very aware of how the growing conflict in Europe would eventually involve America, and how eventually Americans would need a symbol to rally behind, and that's why he made Captain America. Kirby's work on Captain America focused on fighting the Nazi Party and can be seen as the first piece of pro-war media, a true achievement since at the time a majority of the American population feared another European conflict. Kirby used Captain America as a symbol of American values and as a propaganda tool against the Nazis. Captain America was the perfect Aryan soldier, 6'2" with blonde hair and blue eyes. But Kirby turned that back on the Nazis as if saying, "You're a perfect soldier, an individual that you hold in the highest regards, is going to fight you because your beliefs are not just evil but harmful to the human race." Captain America was created as an everyman, meant to show the values of the American dream and how greatness could come from anywhere. Kirby designed Captain America as a character to represent the ideal American soldier, an American citizen who would make the ultimate sacrifice for their country. In Captain America's first appearance, he is described as, quote, "a new champion, a new defender, born in an hour of need, a living symbol of the glory that is America." The first issue of Captain America sold out in just a week and would eventually be distributed to both servicemen and the boys of America. Soldiers saw themselves in Captain America, stoic patriots fighting the good fight, and back home, kids saw themselves in Bucky, Captain America's plucky sidekick. Kirby's Captain America was meant as a symbol of what Kirby thought Americans needed as the country was about to enter the World War. He should be remembered for this because the character he created was a perfect fit for what a scared nation needed. A symbol for the protection of truth, justice, and the American way. A symbol to rally behind. During the 1960s, Kirby's works were very conscious of the social changes taking place. Kirby used both the civil rights movement and the rise of youth culture as inspiration for his stories. The X-Men, a team of teenage superheroes who fought against the discrimination of mutants, was a direct parallel to the civil rights movements. The struggle of mutants in the comics was the struggle of African Americans during the time. Additionally, Kirby adopted the ideologies of civil rights leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X into Professor X and Magneto. Professor X preached the peaceful coexistence of humans and mutants, as Martin Luther preached the peaceful coexistence of different ethnic groups. Magneto, on the other hand, believed that mutants and humans could not coexist in the same way Malcolm X believed that the segregation of ethnic groups was the only way to create peace. The X-Men were a well-crafted metaphor to explain the civil rights movement that removed race from the equation. In doing so, Kirby made the biases of his audience null and void and presented the simplest form of the argument, that a group of individuals were being wrongly oppressed and hated for differences that they could not control, differences that could be a benefit to society, and that the hatred of those groups could only lead to violence, exemplified by Magneto's evil plans in the comics. Through the X-Men, Kirby explained the dangers of racism to American society and the plight of those in the minority. Kirby's work strived to create an understanding, to expose the sins of humanity so that we might correct them and move forward. Kirby's legacy is so much more than just a stack of comic books. Many of his characters have gone on to become part of major blockbusters, achieving a greater audience than Kirby could have ever imagined, and, in the process, creating a multi-billion-dollar film franchise. The ideas of one man now employ thousands of workers all over the world, and in the process create role models for kids all over the world. Jack Kirby, unknown to so many, deserves to be remembered for his significant contributions to the world. It should be remembered for creating stories and characters that fought against oppression, and for his large impact on the world today.